The restaurant lights flickered softly against the glass windows as Emma stared at the empty chair across from her. Her heart had been pounding with hope when she first sat down at the table. The scent of roasted garlic and fresh bread filled the air. Laughter and clinking glasses surrounded her, but none of it drowned the heavy silence that pressed into her chest. She had straightened her dress 3 times already, checked her lipstick twice, and glanced at the door every time it opened. For 2 long hours, she sat there, alone, abandoned, and embarrassed. Strangers' eyes had begun to linger, and whispers floated in the air like stings against her fragile confidence. To Emma, it wasn't just a blind date. It felt like her last chance at believing in love again. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Your support helps us spread these touching stories further. Emma had been through heartbreak before. Her last relationship ended in betrayal when the man she loved left her for someone else, telling her she was too simple, too ordinary. Those words carved scars deeper than she ever admitted. For months, she avoided mirrors, avoided people, and avoided hope. But tonight was supposed to be different. Her best friend had set her up with a man she swore was decent, kind, and ready for something real. Emma wanted to believe that even after years of loneliness, her heart could still bloom again. But as the minutes stretched into hours, that fragile belief withered. The waiter came by for the 3rd time, asking if she wanted to order. Emma forced a smile, pretending she was still waiting. The truth was unbearable. Every glance at the clock reminded her she had been foolish enough to expect someone would show up for her. By the 2nd hour, her hands trembled as she reached for her purse, ready to leave when the restaurant door swung open again. She almost didn't look, but when she did, her breath caught in her throat. A tall man with tired eyes and slightly graying hair stepped inside. He wasn't the polished image she had painted in her mind. His shirt was creased, his shoes were worn, and he carried an old leather bag slung over his shoulder. He looked around nervously until his gaze fell on Emma. He froze, guilt flashing across his face, and then he walked toward her table. Emma's heart sank as he stopped in front of her and whispered an apology before even sitting down. This was not the man she had imagined. He was older, more rugged, and not at all the charming gentleman her friend had described. Her first instinct was anger. Anger at being deceived, anger at wasting her time, anger at him for showing up so late. But then she saw something in his eyes. Behind the wrinkles and weariness, there was a sorrow that ran deeper than excuses. He looked like a man who had fought battles she could not see. And when he finally sat across from her, his hands shook as if he hadn't held onto kindness in years. Emma listened in silence as he explained. His name was Daniel. He had been stuck at the hospital, not because he was sick, but because he was there for someone he loved. His younger sister had been battling cancer, and earlier that evening, she had collapsed. He didn't want to cancel, he said, because he had promised himself that after years of devoting his life to caring for others, he would finally try to live for himself, even just for one night. But fate had delayed him, almost stealing away his chance. Emma's anger melted into guilt. How could she measure 2 hours of waiting against the weight of a man carrying his sister's pain on his shoulders? As he spoke, Emma saw the truth in him. Not polished, not perfect, but real. The world had broken him, yet he still showed up. That, she realized, meant something. Dinner passed slowly, not with the smooth laughter of instant chemistry, but with the cautious words of 2 souls testing the waters. Daniel told her about how he had raised his sister after their parents died young, how he worked 2 jobs to keep her treatment going, how loneliness had been his constant companion. Emma, in turn, confessed her fears, her broken past, and her doubts about being enough. For the first time in years, she wasn't pretending. She wasn't trying to impress. She was just Emma, tired, scarred, human. The restaurant grew quiet around them, chairs emptied, and waiters began clearing tables. Hours slipped away without either of them noticing. By the time they stepped outside, the night air was crisp, the streets nearly empty, and the city lights shimmered like tiny promises in the distance. Daniel offered to walk her to her car, and Emma, against the voice of caution in her head, let him. As they walked, Daniel confessed he almost didn't come at all. He was terrified she would see him as a failure, a man too weighed down by burdens to deserve love. But he showed up because he needed to believe, even for one night, that life could offer him something good. Emma stopped, turned to him, and for the first time in years, she smiled a smile that wasn't forced. She told him that maybe they were both broken in different ways, but sometimes broken pieces fit together to make something whole. The weeks that followed were uncertain. Emma and Daniel didn't fall into a fairy tale romance overnight. They struggled, with fears, with doubts, with the heavy shadows of their past. There were days when Daniel canceled plans because his sister's health declined. There were moments Emma almost pushed him away, afraid of getting hurt again. But slowly, steadily, they found comfort in each other's presence. Daniel showed Emma that love wasn't about grand gestures. It was about showing up, even when life tried to pull you away. And Emma reminded Daniel that even the weary deserved joy, even the burdened deserved love. One evening, months later, Daniel invited Emma to the hospital. His sister had taken a turn for the worse, and Emma sat beside him, holding his hand as he whispered words of comfort to the frail young woman on the bed. It was in that sterile, heartbreaking room that Emma truly understood who Daniel was. A man who carried sorrow but still gave love. A man who kept promises even when life gave him every reason to break them. And when Daniel's sister smiled weakly at Emma and whispered, "Take care of him," Emma's heart swelled with a responsibility she never expected to carry. Days later, his sister passed away. Daniel was broken, yet Emma never left his side. In his grief, he realized that Emma was no longer just a date or a possibility. She was his anchor. And Emma realized that love wasn't about perfect timing or perfect people. It was about choosing to stay when it would be easier to leave. Months turned into a year. Their bond deepened, tested by trials but strengthened by resilience. Emma found herself loving the man she once almost dismissed. She saw the beauty in his scars, the strength in his vulnerability, the hope in his weary smile. And Daniel, for the first time in decades, allowed himself to believe in happiness. Their love wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, steady, and unshakable. Emma no longer felt ordinary. Daniel never felt unworthy. Together they became a story of second chances, of broken hearts finding healing in each other. And every time Emma thought back to that night she waited 2 long hours, she realized it was never wasted time. It was the necessary pause before destiny walked through the door. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Every click helps us bring more emotional and inspiring stories to you. And before you go, special request, comment below with these words, "Kindness can heal broken hearts." Let's see how many of us believe in that truth.